Hello and welcome to another installment on the Micro Garden, and I'm your host Luke. If you have not been here yet, welcome to the channel. I just kind of thought I'd give you another little welcome for any new people that are coming on. I know I haven't done that in a while, but today I have a really exciting episode for you guys today. I've just been kind of bumming around and it's just a beautiful Sunday morning and got nothing better to be doing than filming and living it up in the tropical room. So a lot of people were actually asking me how I prune my tropicals to keep them really low and shrubular. And there's different methods to each way that you'd prune. Some plants, they don't like to be pruned at all, and I'll show you a few of those. There's certain plants that can tolerate pruning and they will just kind of fork. And then there's certain plants where you prune the top and all they do is they go crazy and just bush out everywhere. They don't care, they just love being pruned. And so you really do want to make sure that you check that plant out through kind of experimentation and kind of doing a little bit of research about the plant to see, you know, kind of how the plant grows and to see if it can be pruned and if it likes to be pruned before you do it, because once you prune it, obviously there's no going back. So that is obviously my first cautionary note to you guys. But with all that said, I'm going to bring over a couple plants over here, some different specimens I'm just going to pull around, and I'm going to show you some ones that need to be pruned, and I'm going to show you how I prune them, some ones that will need to be pruned, and then some that don't even like to be pruned, and just some different stuff like that. So I'm going to bring you guys along with me. Hope you guys enjoy this, so stay tuned, I'll bring you guys up close. Alright, so below me I actually have some specimens here of different plants that really enjoy being pruned, some that don't really like being pruned too much, and then plants that absolutely love being pruned. So the first one I'm actually going to start off with an example of a plant that you don't want to prune ever, and that's actually the vanilla bean. This is a vanilla bean vine, and that was actually a tongue twister, but this does not like being pruned whatsoever, and it's because when it grows in the wild they actually will cultivate it up cocoa trees, and that's because cocoa trees have a really, it's a very smooth bark and it allows the plant to grow up. And this is actually an orchid. Plants in the orchid family, they are typically very single stem, they don't like to fork out a whole lot, and they typically don't really like being suckered at all, because once they get suckered, I'm not even really sure what happens, because I've never done this and I absolutely won't, because I'm pretty sure it'll kill it. The, single stem vines will never put out a second side shoot. They really don't enjoy it, and so therefore you don't want to prune your vanilla beans. Whereas a plant that really does enjoy it is a pepper plant. Now, the pepper plant will always enjoy being pruned. They sucker out like crazy, and all you have to do is just prune off the top growing tips. I'm keeping this one really short because it's a bonsai pepper, and so what I'm doing is I'm simply taking off the top growing tips. Every single time one gets tall, I just snip it off. And that's putting out a ton of little bottom growth here, and it's just bushing out. And I'm going to see if I can get it into like a little round shrub here pretty soon. It's looking pretty good, but with peppers, even if you wanted to grow it out, the best way to prune it is to pick the tallest, strongest ones, snip those off, and give the smaller side shoots a chance to grow, and then that's how it bushes out. And they really enjoy that. Another person that does this extremely well, that you probably obviously heard of, is Praxis55712. He's been a great friend of mine for a really long time, and he's taught me pretty much everything I know about growing peppers. I don't know a whole lot because it's not really my forte, but I'm getting better at it, and if you want to check out someone's channel that does it very well, I have a link in the description box below to his channel, and he is a one-stop shop for pepper knowledge, and therefore, if you have any like pressing questions, go to him. And basically, the pepper just really enjoys being pruned, and so you really don't have to worry too much about over pruning, because no matter how much you're going to prune it back, as long as you leave a couple side shoots, they're going to pop back within a couple days, and it's going to only help the plant. So that is the pepper plant, really enjoys being pruned. Another one that doesn't enjoy being pruned at all is the casa banana. Now the casa banana, again, is a single stem vine. Things that are single stem vine, again, hate being pruned. There are some vines that do enjoy being pruned, such as the English ivy. They will grow and sprawl and fork, and I mean, oh my gosh, they are so invasive because of the fact that they are a vine and they can be snipped back and grow twice as fast. So that's what makes them very invasive. But the Casa banana is much like it's in the gourd family. So pumpkins, squash, they typically won't fork a whole lot. They might fork once in their entire life. So you really don't want to prune them too awful much if you don't want to risk hurting them, because then if you run the risk of it not forking, then you're stuck with a plant that's 3 inches tall and it won't do anything because it'll just die. So don't prune these ones. You'll do a lot better if you just leave them on a vine as a single stem. Another one that enjoys being pruned a whole lot is actually olive. Now I've actually pruned this one back already, but what you do is, let me find the growing tip here. This was the growing tip. Now the growing tip is relatively small. It's green, very light green leaves, compared to the very dark green leaves of the olive. And as you can see, this is a very, very healthy plant, and I'm really excited because it's actually already putting out some side shoots. As you can see there, it's starting to bush out, and that's what I want. Olives have been grown for years, hundreds of years, as bonsai plants, and that's actually what I'm going to turn this into, is a bonsai plant. I'm starting to prune it small so I can get it to shrub out when it's young, and that's really key because it keeps the center of gravity really low on the stem, as well as keeping it small and low, because if you let it grow and then you prune it off, then it's going to put out side shoots as it's tall. And when it's really tall and it puts out side shoots, anybody knows that that's going to be really, really detrimental to the center balance of the plant. It's going to make it really, really topply. And you don't want it to be topply because then you run the risk of the stem breaking, and that's not good either. So the thing you need to know about olives is you can pretty much prune them back to nothing, and they'll still bush out just great. I just don't like torturing my plants that much. So olive is another one that you can really, really prune back and never really fail at. So it's pretty hard to kill. As a safe rule, I was going to say, sometimes you don't want to prune back any more than 25% of the plant, because if let's say the plant is 5 inches, or let's say the plant's 4 inches, 25% is 1 inch. So you don't want to prune back no more than 1 inch of the plant. And that's just a general rule to stay safe, so you don't stress the plant out too much that it does die. But yeah, so that's the olive, and really enjoys being pruned. Another plant that really, really loves being pruned but actually grows very weird is the goji berry. Now the goji berry is not like any normal plant. I was amazed when I started pruning this because I thought it would start putting out side shoots, and actually it hates it. It hates putting out side shoots. What it actually does is it puts out pups. And for anyone that doesn't know what a pup is, it's actually another whole complete plant. And some plants, like some of these goji berries, will put out a few side shoots here and there. But when you prune them back, what they actually do is they'll put out a whole new plant. And if you guys look really close, you guys can see that. I pruned off this growing tip right here. Oops, sorry. I pruned off this growing tip, and it's been growing really, really healthy. And I noticed, I'm like, wait, what is that? There is side shoots. They're coming right off of the plant. And this one is not even connected to the soil. I mean, look, that's like a good inch away from the main plant. This is a whole new plant right here. So the thing with goji berries that I'm thinking is the more you prune them back, I mean, I'm just going to prune all these back, and it's going to put out all these new side shoots, and I'm just going to get it to be a really big bush, and this whole little container is going to be all plants, hopefully, by the time I'm done. And then it'll be really, really sturdy because each vine will support each other, and that way there's not one vine that's just hanging over a mile long. They're going to be all clumped together. And so that's what I'm going to do. And basically what I did is, since I can prune these two growing tips as well, I took my Barbie scissors and I just came along here, gave them a little prune up. And you probably could root those, but I typically don't because it takes a long time. I don't have that type of time, and I already have one growing, so I don't need any more than one. And that leads me to what I'm really excited to show you guys. This is a different variety of goji berry, one that really enjoys being pruned. It also does not put out pups, it puts out side shoots. There is two different varieties of goji berry, and so this one is actually one that really, really loves being pruned. So what I've been doing is I've been growing about, I think I have 5 or 6 plants in these small little nursery pots here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be growing these things to fully mature plants, and I'm actually going to be giving them away. Well, I mean, not fully mature, but I'm going to be getting them well established and mature so that I can give them away and they'll survive on the trip to your house. So what you want to do is you're going to hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for when I do this, because I'm not sure when I'm going to do this, but it's going to be sometime in the very near future. And I do have a bunch of other plants. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I typically will only grow 1 to 2 of the same variety, just so I have some insurance that if one plant dies, I'll have another one to go back. But I don't need 5 or 6 plants. So I'm just growing them to a decent size, and then I'm going to give them away just as a fun little gift and a little thank you for supporting my channel so much. And so, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. And this is the beautiful goji berry. Very, very healthy. Putting out a lot of beautiful side shoots. And it's going to be a beautiful plant. Really excited. I just pruned the top off, so in a couple days all these side shoots are going to be exploding. Now, one that I already pruned already that I thought I'd show is, okay, this is the dwarf Meyer lemon. Now, the thing with Meyer lemons, or lemons and limes in general, is most citruses don't like to be pruned too much. They will sucker, they will put out side shoots, but the thing is they don't like to put out side shoots a whole lot. They'll put out 1 to 2 only. Now, whereas the goji berries, tomatoes, peppers, as soon as you cut them, each little leaf node that attaches to the main stem right here will put out a new plant, essentially a new plant. But with lemons and limes, when you cut back the main growing tip, all it does is it finds the nearest leaf node and it'll put out 1 to 2 new growing tips. Sometimes you'll get 3, on really rare occurrences you'll get 3, but mainly you get 1 or 2. And so when that happens, you need to start pruning your lemons and your limes really, really early, because if you don't, and it gets really tall and you say, oh gosh, I gotta trim this and make it smaller, all it's going to do is going to keep the whole main plant the same, and then it's going to put out 2 little side shoots at the very top, and when those grow it's going to get really unstable, very top heavy, as you saw with my lime plant. It's a prime example. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It was really bad because I grew it, I thought it would kind of bush out, I pruned the growing tips off, I tried everything, and it just wouldn't put out side shoots. It would just put out side shoots at the very tip top point and then grow from there. So I really wasn't gaining anything. I wasn't gaining any ground, it was just getting worse. So what I decided to do is start pruning my citruses very early on and get them to fork early, so that way I can get them to fork, and then I'll clip those off, get them to fork, and that way I can get a bush. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So that's what I advise you doing as well, because I've learned from past failures that you don't want to wait to prune your citruses. Don't wait at all. It's a very bad idea. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys learned something. I really hope you guys took at least one thing home from this episode. I know a lot of people have been wanting me to do an installment on just some different pruning tutorials, so I decided to do that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or in the comments box below. Just any question you guys have, because I love answering them. I love helping you guys out, and that's what all this is about, is just helping you guys out and showing you guys different plants that never would normally grow inside your house, and I'm making it possible. So yeah, if you guys haven't clicked the subscribe button, please remember to do that, and rate, comment, subscribe. It does help me out. I love it, and I love seeing you guys turn out, and that's all I got.